What's up, everybody? It's me, it's Anu here. How is everybody doing tonight? It is February 1st, 2022. It is a new moon day. There's a fresh beginning for so many things. It is Chinese Lunar New Year. We are here in the Just Keep Jamming podcast with my awesome Patreon people. What's up, Patreon peeps? Good to see you, Grumpy Cop. Nice to see you again, Chris, Sharon, Kat, Ray, Christina, Michelle, Layla, and my mom is here. And we also have my very special besticle, as I call her, my girl, McKenna Maduli. Can I get a whoop whoop? Everyone's clapping. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are, and I'm just so grateful. We kind of chatted last week, because she was giving me some amazing life advice, giving it to me, and I'm like, yes, girl, yes. I'm like, you got to come on my podcast and tell everybody what you're saying to me right now. Like, this is too good not to share. Like, that's kind of how this started, because she was a guest before, but I want to get deeper with her now. So yeah, the theme of today's podcast is Aloha Thyself and self-love, self-care and self-love. So McKenna has been on a journey of this kind of, topic for a while. And she's been very transparent about her journey into turning the beautiful 40 years old and all of this. And you're still on it.
Not end, girl. This journey gonna take me to heaven.
But I love that you've been so open and sharing about it. So I think, we're gonna just go through some tips and ideas on how to love yourself, like 22 of them, in fact. And then as we go through these tips, we can each individually share our stories about how they applied to our lives, or maybe little, lessons that we've learned along the way. But let's see, McKenna, before we get started, can you give maybe some of our newer listeners about a minute and a half of just some background of you? Where did you come from? Where did you start? What do you do? Who are you?
And a half. Okay. Well, I do live news, so I can let me time this out. Hey, hello, everybody. I'm McKenna Maduli, born and raised not too far from here, Kalihi Valley, Oahu. I grew up in a really big, huge Hawaiian family. My dad has 14 brothers and sisters. My mom has 7 or 8. And just grew up in the entertainment industry. My dad is a producer. My mom is a promoter. So we ended up, I was either making backstage passes for Waikiki Shell for things like Makaha Bash or big concerts, or I was under the studio at Dolphin Sound when my dad was recording albums like Israel Kamakavivo Ole or Makaha Sons and Teresa Bright. I left a couple days after I turned 18, and I went to California and started my journey in becoming an entertainment reporter. And in that time, I really kind of honed my craft. I always knew that I wanted to come home and really celebrate and shine a light on the people of Hawaii. So, 17 years later, exactly, I came home, and I was a weather girl for 2 years at KHON, and it kind of guided me into this beautiful gift of a show now that I have called Talk Story. And it is exactly everything that I wanted it to be. It has become, and I say this just as we give this, but it has become an Emmy Award-winning #1 primetime, beating out shows like The Voice show that comes from Honolulu, Hawaii, that showcases all of our talent, from people like Anohea to NBA, MLB stars like Colton Wong to Josh Totofi to all of these. So I'm happy, and I'm really excited that the show has given me this beautiful platform to elevate Hawaii and where we come from.
Mm-hmm. And we were just
90 seconds was that
on the dot. She's amazing, folks. She's got it under 90. No, but we got to go a little deeper, just because we were talking about this before we pressed record, just how excellent. If you guys don't live in Hawaii and you maybe haven't watched the show or you haven't looked it up online, this woman, how she does it, she touches on the deepest subjects. Sometimes the stuff that's hard to talk about, sometimes stuff that's right split down the middle between opinions of her viewers, and she's able to navigate it so beautifully and make sure that information is coming across without excluding or offending people. And it's just really, it's a talent to see you do that. And I feel like you do that with, friends and people too.
Friends who don't like each other. No,
yeah, I mean, whatever. You know how to get people to come together and get along. I mean, when we had your 40th birthday, it's not like we didn't all get along, but we all came from different parts of life. Your friends are all different kind of groups, and you brought us all together on the Big Island. We had the most amazing weekend ever. I think the last time you were on our podcast, we were about to have your birthday. Like we were still kind of talking about it. We got to share what we did. Can we share with the people what we ended up doing for her birthday?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. So you flew in, I picked you up with Truly's in the center console now, but we were definitely ready to party. And she had this amazing like a condo that was gifted to her from a friend, and that was out in Waikoloa side. So that was like our little mansion hub for the weekend. We, just did the simple stuff like go to the beach and kind of hi'uvai, which means, wash away all of our bad vibes. We then got to go, just 3 of us, to Waipio Valley. This was before the big group of girls came. It was me, her, and Jess went to the powerful Waipio Valley. We got like a behind the scenes like tour basically from Iini Kahakalau, who's Ohana lives down there.
You guys don't follow her on Instagram, you guys should follow her. She's amazing. Or what is that called? TikTok. She's huge on TikTok. She does and she does like Hawaiian, like native Hawaiian lessons and all kinds of stuff of like filling you in. So she's great to follow too.
But it was cool. We brought food. She had food for us. We went down to the water down there. And then
Anu, that was like poi gnocchi or something.
Yes, poi gnocchi. You guys heard of it? Gnocchi, but then made with like poi. It was so good. And then I tried to make it myself later so then that's what happened. A couple of days or a day later, more friends started coming in from Oahu. We did a little pool party at a mansion where we all got to just hang out in the pool. And then we did a little filming for my song Shoulders music video, which we still haven't released yet, but
Where is that? I want to see the video.
They're saying that I need to capture more footage. So that's what's holding it up. Like I need to go over there, and because it was a lot of like the same thing over and over. I was like, can we try one more day where I just at least do some more performance stuff? So, but the song is about friendship. And so I always think of my best friends when I sing that song, and it was so appropriate to have McKenna there. And so then that was that day. Then we also got to do a like beach, like goddess activation session.
The whole thing, it was beautiful. I think so. A lot of you guys are actually follow on Instagram or Facebook, but we had this beautiful activation ceremony that if anyone has the opportunity to do, if you go anywhere, it was very freeing, I feel like, right? For all of us. And it was my birthday, but it was like everyone got something out of it. It was incredible. And it was just, there was this beautiful circle where everyone goes around and tells you what they appreciate about you. And it's just so emotional, and you're like, yeah, we're friends, everyone's friends, but you hear these really deep of why you guys continue to be friends 10 15 years later, and it was really cool. I like that.
Was so special for her birthday. So we did like the appreciation of McKenna, had her in the middle, and we're all doing that. But then like she said, it was individually like, what do we want to take from this and use from this point forward, moving out? Like, how do you want to grow into your own, goddess and live it to the fullest? And that was, very special. So everyone left. That was your actual birthday, right? So when the sun set, that was your last.
The last sunset of my 30s was that night.
So the next day was your actual birthday.
Beautiful. And it had just so happened at Hula the week before, and I hope I say this correctly, Kumu. It was a ko'i'ula, which is basically a vertical rainbow. It doesn't go all the way around. And my Kumu we had learned the hula, and he had just said ko'i'ula is very special. They're incredibly special, and you only see them once. You don't see them very often. And literally, we had this ceremony, and I turned around, and there was a ko'i'ula right here. And it was like shining out of my back. It was so insane. And your photographer friend got a beautiful picture of it too.
Ashton. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so beautiful. I have a song where I talk about vertical rainbows. And really? I wrote about it. This is a song. What song is this? Vertical rainbows. It's called No Time. Yeah. I wrote it in like 2012 or something, where I go vertical rainbows cross the sky, and I didn't even question why. But I had no idea that it was like a Hawaiian like thing, and it had a Hawaiian word. Now I'm like obsessed. I'm going to do all this research about it. That's so cool.
I want to say it's called a ko'i'ula.
I'll look into it too. Yeah. But no, this girl and her aumakuas and her kupuna, like I've never met anyone in my life that's more connected like with her elders or like that Hawaiian side of them. It's really beautiful to watch. Like things as simple as a certain type of bird that would keep coming around over and over and over again. And like even on an airplane, you turn and look, and like the airplane is named the bird. Like it's like, what is happening? And you had moments where you would see them and you felt like you were being spoken to. Like I loved that you got to experience all of that on your special 40th birthday weekend.
Yes, it was absolutely amazing, and thank you for planning. You Anuhea planned most of it, so thank you, sister. What is your favorite? Michelle said one of my favorite songs, Anu. Oh, the song that she
No Time. Yeah. Thank you. I know. I gotta figure that. I should do a music video for that song maybe someday. All right. Well,
at this point I can produce it.
Right? You can do it.
Listen, I'm gonna come up back. I always say up, but it's going down, back to there.
Down. Yeah, you could do it on your iPhone even. Like she's so good at capturing stuff. If you guys don't follow McKenna, please do. She's hilarious and awesome and fun to watch on her adventures. We talk about, well, I fantasize about having like someday when we're older and like having like a talk show together when we can drink wine in the mornings and just talk about.
It's actually happening. I got 2 partners for it today. So it's happening.
I want the red wine. She'll get the white. Or what kind of wine do you drink? Because I drink red in the morning. But anyway, let's go into
sponsoring us. Okay. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Whoever's sponsoring us for sure. Let's go into our list. So I came across this article when I was looking for things that we could talk about. And it was an article called Live Well with SharonMartin.com. It was, simple. I'd never heard of this woman before, but she put everything together so beautifully. And I felt like it was a great little, syllabus for us to go along and follow along with as we're talking about this subject. So it was 22 simple ideas on how to love yourself. And it's about self-compassion and self-worth. And I feel like during this time I'm going through some very personal, emotional stuff right now, which I'm not ready to share publicly, but with this new moon aligned with it, I think we've got to figure out ways to love ourselves first, aloha thyself first, before you can really start loving others. And I wrote a song about it. I shared it with my Patreon people this past weekend called Aloha Thyself. And it said, show love to me first so I can love on everyone else. Aloha thyself. So, show love to me first so that I can love on everyone else. I mean, it's the simplest thing. It's that same thing that, you got to make sure your cup is filled so you can overflow onto others. It's put your mask on before you help put the mask on of others when the plane is going down. Like everyone knows this. Why is it so hard to love on yourself and show yourself self-care? Like we've got to get down to the bottom of it. Maybe we just don't know how. So that's why I thought this list was great. And for us to just kind of talk story about how we could do it. So I'm just going to dive right in and then we'll just talk about our own individual experiences with each of these things. So number 1 was to know yourself. It says, it is impossible to love yourself if you don't even know who you are. Invest in discovering what you believe, value, and like. What do you think about that, McKenna?
Correct. It is absolutely impossible to love it if you don't know who you are. But it's like we then layer on all of these self-doubts and things. And you got to find what you're good at and find what you love. And this is not, I speak to like 5th graders now and I'm like, you don't figure this stuff out till later. But if we can help cultivate these young children and these kids that we have, like Kenna's age, like my nieces and nephews, like that's when it really, you make them trust themselves first. So I think that having these young keiki and kids really trust and get to know themselves and teaching them what that means,
Yeah. I love how it says invest. So like invest in discovering what you believe, value, and like it's not necessarily easy because you have to put some time. I mean, invest could mean money, but I look at the word invest in this situation as more of like time, right? You're investing your time into figuring out what exactly. And then on a kid level, if you're trying to help and nurture your children into knowing themselves, maybe putting them in a variety of different things. Like my son is 8. He's trying out baseball right now. Again, he tried football. I know he wants to be on stage, but just putting him in these various opportunities so that he can learn who he is. I think that's a great way for for us to start them young. But then as we get older, what about stuff like this, right? Stuff like these journals, these self-care journals. Even if
I just want to touch on that a little bit, because when they are that age, like what I believe, and no one else has to agree with me, but I believe that everything that an 8-year-old at that point probably was born with, I call it the bowl of light, that everybody was born with a bowl of light, and as you get older, there are rocks that are put into this bowl that kind of dim. You have to kind of figure out what you're going to allow. But books and journals like that, we really are going back to that 8-year-old, where I believe that we really are going back to who we were brought into this realm and this earth as, I think it's like, even when we keep talking about turning 40 or 50 or 60, because we'll continue to hit these milestones, you're coming back to who you came in as, right? And so I feel like when you say like learn yourself, it's kind of sounds like a catch-22, but it's like you come in and you already are this person. It's like you're relearn. Does that make sense, you guys? Like, you're relearning who you came in to this.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, it's like God made you a way, and it keeps getting distracted with all the BS of the world. But we're taking the rocks out is what we're doing when we're learning.
Right, because when we're born, like, I actually have a beautiful book that's so hard to find. I think I have it actually on the Talk Story Hale. And I believe Justin Young wrote a song about it called ALOHA. I think so. Ooh. But that's what it's about, is that we're all born as a bowl of light, and as we get older, there's these rocks and sand and things that dirty us in a way, or weight us in a way, and our job is to make sure that we keep our bowl nice and clean so that the light can shine.
Amen, sister. Keep our bowl clean. That's probably one of the next subjects we'll talk about, how to keep your bowl clean. But the next of these 22 tips on how to love yourself would be: say no when you need to. And this is around boundaries. Boundaries are an essential form of self-care because they let others know that you deserve and expect respect. So yeah, we talk about boundaries a lot in this podcast as well, because I didn't even know what the concept of a boundary really was. I kind of would just give my love to so many people and myself, my personality, that there was nothing left for me. And I pretty much like hit rock bottom because I didn't know what self-care was. So saying no when you need to, right? I mean, are you good at that? Do you struggle with that still too, McKenna?
I'm good at that. And I want to say, and Auntie, I see you on here, but that comes from my mother. Like, that comes from my mom always wanting to make people, I'm not saying that's you, Auntie. I'm saying like it comes like, for me, it comes from my mom, because it's like moms do so much. Like, we do not even realize how much mothers give of themselves to us. And so I would always see my mom just saying yes and yes and yes. And my mom and I get into arguments about her doing things for free, or saying yes when she has nothing to give from, but like it's a behavior that I recognize that was passed on to me by wanting to keep people happy all the time. And we don't have to do that,
No,
that's right back to what you said.
There's the way of learning how to say no without hurting people's feelings, without breaking their hearts, while maintaining their good relationship. But figuring out what you are you capable of giving. I think about this, about the book, just because we just read it the other day, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. Yeah. Do you remember that one where the little boy goes and he just takes everything from this tree his whole life? He takes the apples to sell them. He takes the wood to make a boat so he can go far away. And then by the time he's old, he returns to the tree and there's nothing. The tree still wants to give him something, but there's nothing left to give. But then they realize all he needs is a place to sit and rest because he's had a rough life. And so the tree is a perfect little resting stump. And book makes me cry every time, right, Mom? I cry about that book all the time, but it's just talking about like giving and knowing how much you can give. But then actually doesn't really have anything to do with boundaries, but just talks about giving of yourself as much as you can.
It does have everything to do with boundaries. It's just like knowing your limits. And no is a very hard word to learn. It's a very hard word to learn, and it's a very hard word to stay consistent with, like it's hard, and it's just a thing. But it's a learned behavior, and you need to, I think that the key for me right now is unlearning. I mean, even like I mean, maybe this could go on and on, but like even today, like booking 3 things in one day, I should say no to one of those things. But do I want to do all of them? Yeah. And if I learned how to do time management and manage my time better, it's attainable. But it's just knowing what to say, no to.
No to, right? Yeah, even just with your energy too, making sure that you don't give too many of your people all the energy. There's nothing left for you at the end of the day. That's a rough one for me. But Sharon asked, any tips when saying no, creating boundaries, how not to hurt someone?
Sharon, I am still learning this one too, and it's hard for me. I have this conversation with my boss. I have this conversation with my mother. I have this conversation with my brother. I probably just had this conversation in Maui with Anuhea. Like, it's something that we have to train our brain to be like, it's okay. We don't always have to say yes. And I think it's really just coaching, and it goes back to loving yourself as you say it. Say, hey, you know what? I have to put myself first, and I'm stretched so thin right now. I really want to be there to MC something. I really want to be there to fundraise for this, but it's impossible for me at this point. I hope there's something I can do in the future, but right now I can't.
I think, that communication, that friendly, authentic communication, it might take a little bit of time for you to formulate that sentence or that phone call. But I think that will keep people from getting irritated or upset, just because people can be sensitive. But then I see other people who are like, you don't need to explain anything. You don't owe anyone explanation. But I kind of struggle with that, just because I feel like I'm a nice person. You don't want to like offend somebody just by holding your boundaries. Like, I think compromise is a good one too. Like, let's go to the next one. I'm sure we could go on and on about all of these, which I love so much. But it says, number 3, don't compare yourself to others. Others aren't better or worse, more or less than you. They're just different. You have values just as you are, and accepting yourself means there's no need for comparisons. Ooh, I like that one. Inevitably, we can't help but compare ourselves sometimes, especially as women. And this is what we talked about on Malika Dudley's Communification podcast that I was a guest on with Kimmy A about a couple months ago. It talked about, social media and young girls, and how girls are just comparing themselves to this impossible reality, quote unquote, but it's not real. Like, we are not showing our true selves on social media when it comes to like pictures, or even how you might be struggling in life. So for that reason, we need to remind our kids and ourselves, like, don't compare yourselves to social media for sure, because that ain't real. That's not real. But even in everyday life, like, I think somebody in here was saying, like, they're trying to compete to make themselves the best version of themselves. And you're competing every day with yourself and only yourself, not with others.
Always. Yeah. I always say stay in your own lane. And I had actually said this to Keems the other day, and he just was like, you make your own lanes. You don't have to, stay in your own and make what you want. I always, when I came back to Hawaii, for example, like, what I've created, when you look at what it is, like, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do what these people are doing. I'm not going to do what these, and to be your true authentic self, you created something that no one else is doing. And we're all capable of doing that. I believe you do have to be at the right place at the right time for it to align. But I mean, it's when you find yourself, and these 22 tips, Anu, that you're sharing, like, these are all a part of the process to like hitting the jackpot,
Right. It's not going to give you all the answers. Let's go on to the next one. Number 4 of this 22 ways to love yourself. It says, be truly present. Oof, I love this. Our lives are full of distractions. Many of these things are fun and worthwhile, but they can be draining and keep us from truly knowing and being ourselves. This is one that Aaron, our guest from a few podcasts back, said was one of his 22 for 2022 goals. He wanted to be more present in life. And that really inspired me, because I realized that, yes, I too am so go, and get caught up in distractions a lot. And yes, they can be fun and worthwhile, but then they can be draining and keep us from fully knowing and being ourselves. So for example, I just went out on Saturday night for a friend's 40th birthday. We all went to dinner, and then we went kind of bar hopping, sang karaoke. And of course, I was drunk. And of course, I had so much fun, but I don't really remember a lot of it. And the next day, I felt like shit. And, I actually forgot my wallet at home. So I didn't really spend any money. But that's another thing that when you go out, sometimes you're like, all of a sudden, are spending all this money. You're like, what the? And it's just, is it worth it?
The other day, I was at the Sheraton pool and I was like, I'm Rockefeller. And I like looked at my thing the other day and I'm like, I have no business spending $400 at a pool in 2 hours. Like, no one should be doing that. Okay.
No, you're buying for everybody.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. But it was my one day off in 3 weeks. And I thought, why not treat everybody to a cocktail? I mean, when it comes to the Sheraton, it was like 4 people, but but yes, you definitely need to learn
to be present in the, like getting drunk is not necessarily being present in your life. Like it's a distraction. And when I was, sober for those 5 months and talking on this podcast while I was sober, that was one of the things I loved the most about being sober is that I was definitely present. Like I didn't forget anything about my life. And that was really great. So maybe the compromise can be, don't get too drunk. If you're going to go and have fun, don't get too drunk, and just even on a day-to-day basis.
I want to touch on that for a little bit because the present thing is really important for me with the people that I'm around, because my parents do say a lot like, oh, when you're with us, or like you're still on your phone, or you're working, or you're answering emails, or we all know what it's like to be with other people, even partners. With your partner, they're on. And I'm not a victim in any sense, but like I know what that feels like to feel invisible. I know what that's like to not have attention be put on me when I'm like, hey, listen, I'm making the time for you and you're not making the time for me, and to look at me like I'm asking you a question, you're looking right past me to see what's on Netflix, or you're looking at your phone catching something, where it's like I think that we can all be better across the board of being present in everything we do. And I mean, I do this even like with my mom and my dad and my brother and any with you when I'm with you, or anybody. I think everyone in this world can be better at being present.
Yeah. The human connection is one of the most valuable things I think in this planet. So being present when you're in someone's presence is also so true and important. You don't want to hurt their feelings either. No. Okay. Number 5 was know and use your strengths. So we all have tremendous gifts, but many of them go unnoticed. When you're busy and distracted, it is hard to access those great qualities. Focusing on your strengths will increase your positive feelings for yourself. I mean, yes, knowing and using your strengths is a great thing, but do we know them? Like that's probably the harder part, right? Do people know their strengths? I think that life's purpose exercise that I used to do, you guys, and I still want to do more of with the ALOHA THYSELF group members. Michelle was a part of it. Jeff was a part of it. Sharon was a part of it. And it talked about, finding those 4 things: mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional words that define who you are and truly who you are. And then you come up with this beautiful sentence at the end of it. My name is Anuhea. I am an open, effective, authentic, powerful woman. And my life's purpose is inspiration, to inspire. And so knowing that was my life's purpose, because I did all the homework for that exercise, I felt like everything else from that point forward fell into place for me as far as using my strengths. Like I continue to have the motivation to do this podcast, even though, I'm not making any money. It's not number 1 or not even top 10 in Hawaii or anything like that. But I just keep on pursuing it because it's my strength and I feel like it's aligning with who I am. And I'm just going to keep doing it because it makes me so happy. And I know it's aligning with my inspiration, life purpose,
As I was preparing for this though today, I was like, this could be something that we turn into something that could be on TV, that could be like a live. So one of my duties at Hawaii News Now is also K5, and K5 is like, when the big Oprah went to, I mean, not big, but the anti-Oprah went to Chicago and took over the beautiful, she really elevated local television and made it national. But like, that's one of my goals. And so things like this that you guys all meet for, however many of you, these are important topics of conversation that she chooses. And I thought the exact same thing. Like, she is so committed as one of her best friends. And like, she is so committed to showing up to this specific group of people when it's not like when it can be shared on social media platforms, but how do you find different avenues where more people can
listen to it.
You're talking about things that are very important.
Well, that's what one of your strengths are, is you take and you elevate, you shine light on. And that's what hulali means. And that's like your beautiful, like your mission statement, your life's purpose, I feel is to elevate the people around you and the subjects and that kind of stuff. So even for you to say that, that's your strength right there. Like, I don't know, we're going to get you some more views, girl, like,
and I think that we all have people like that in our lives. I think when we take ourselves out of the woe me and the woe, even for all of you watching or who are here in this room right now, like there's so many things that you're good at that if you tapped into it and if you connected to something of like, hey, I want to give a little bit more attention in my life to this, I believe sky's the limit for anybody. I don't think that there's, I just don't.
Yeah, no. And it does say right here, like when you're busy and distracted, it's hard to access these great qualities. So the previous one that says be truly present, like if you're struggling on finding your strengths, maybe you need to slow your life down a bit, be truly present, look around and try to figure out what those strengths are. Because when you focus on them, your positive feelings for yourself will make that a big part of your life. And that's going to be great because you're living your life's purpose. Oh, I love this so much. We're flying through these, but let's keep going to the next one. Give yourself a treat. Number 6. A treat is something special that you just give yourself. Unlike a reward, it doesn't have to be earned. Be good to yourself by giving yourself a treat just because. We just did our 22 for 22 list with my ALOHA THYSELF group people, and one of the tips that was said when you are achieving goals is to reward yourself when a goal of yours has been achieved. So this is not quite that. It's saying it doesn't have to be earned. Just treat yourself. Literally. How do you treat yourself, girl?
Treat yourself in all the Sheraton pool. No.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, I think mine is like, I like to upgrade my life a little bit. Like if I have a junky coffee machine, I just bought myself a really, really good one now. And now, so every morning I'm going to have like quality coffee, and that's a treat yourself. Yeah. It's the gift that keeps giving though. It gives back to me.
You get like an espresso or what?
I got an espresso. Yeah.
I love that I spend $15 at Starbucks every day, but I can't spend $180 on a fucking coffee machine. It's so crazy.
I know. I live too far away from a Starbucks, so there really was no other option. But then, yeah, my little Keurig was just not strong enough for me. I was like, oh, hell no. Treat yourself. Massages are always great. I love that. No reason. Just like, man, I just feel like someone touching me. I don't have enough physical contact on my feet. Someone needs to give me a good foot rub.
We have some great places in Honolulu.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Be honest with yourself. Number 7. This one can be harder than it seems. Some of us are so good at self-deception that we don't even know we're doing it. Honestly, honesty is key in all relationships, and your relationship with yourself is no different. Clearly, you can't love your entire messy self if you're lying, minimizing, or making excuses. True self-love means taking responsibility and accountability. Ooh, this one's tough love. I like it. That's a really good one. It's like you're holding yourself accountable, and that's really hard to do sometimes because we want to be gentle with ourselves and we want to give ourselves grace. But at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you're lying to yourself, like, oh no, I'm actually a really good friend, even though you're talking shit about your friend or something like that. Or, oh no, I'm actually a great mom, even though you haven't seen your kid in a week because you've been out drinking. Like that's not you being honest with yourself. So we have to be honest, and then we will be taking responsibility and accountability. I love it. Okay. Number 8, let yourself off the hook for your mistakes and imperfections. So that's like the opposite of that, sort of, a little bit. It just means having a little more grace. Yeah. You're hard on yourself. You're probably harder on yourself than anybody else. Cut yourself some slack and embrace your humanness. Mistakes are normal. Imperfections are part of what makes you, you.
You say something all the time, don't you? You say like, and you're perfectly imperfect. And I think that's a great thing because I don't believe in the word perfect, and I don't believe in the word that you have to attain, you have to be that. And that's you just don't have to. It's all pressure. But as learning as we get older, it's pressure that we put on ourselves, or society puts on ourselves, social media.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you are imperfect because you don't fit into a box. It just means that you are you. And so let yourself off the hook if no one else sees that, and still love yourself. Number 9 on this self-love, how to love yourself checklist is work on forgiving yourself for the bigger stuff. Sometimes we're holding on to bigger regrets or transgressions. Self-forgiveness is a process of bit by bit believing you truly did the best you could. We should go on to number 10. It says, accept that some people won't like you. Okay, that's right. Some people don't like you, and that's okay. Don't waste your time trying to please people who are impossible to please or people who just aren't that important to you. Being yourself means you have to give up your people-pleasing ways and embrace your authentic self. Can I get an amen? Have you struggled with that? I mean, you're in showbiz. You're on TV every night. Do you care what people think?
We struggled with this probably most in all of my life and adult life. And what I have learned that is the goal is to validate from within. Until you have to validate from within, because if you search for validation from anywhere else but from inside right here, you're searching in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get wrong answers. You're gonna get, you're not good enough. You're gonna get, well, you're not fitting in this box. And that is a little key that I really love sharing is validate from within.
Oh my God, I love that. You know, there's this person who just posted something. It's like, the most amazing freedom is when you finally don't care what other people think about you. And I like commented back. He was a makeup artist. I commented back. I'm like, I'm still striving for that, because seriously, I will reach that point at some point in my life, hopefully, where I just honestly don't give a fuck what you say about me or what you think about me. I'm just going to do me. And like, I look at the people who can do that. And I'm like envious. I'm like, how do you do it?
So, next week in Talk Story, so we have the only hour of local television in the Olympics. And so I talked to literally 5 people from Hawaii or with Hawaii ties that have gone to the Olympics. And these are the huge world games. And we're talking like, I went to Roosevelt High School with Clarissa Chun, who was the first female wrestler to ever make it to the Olympics. And she's sitting here telling me and she goes, McKenna, nobody goes to the Olympics to win a bronze medal. And I'm looking at her like, girl, I'm like, you went to the Olympics, you've competed. And she's saying, nobody goes to win a bronze medal. And I'm thinking to myself, I was raised like, you do your best and you do your own, right? Like, you literally, that's his best. And here she is. She wasn't complaining, but she was saying the truth. But like, where did we get to in a point where we're like, winning a bronze medal at the World Games is not good enough, I know. And we have to figure out like, okay, maybe expectations, lessen that a little bit.
Because some people, maybe especially the athletes and people maybe who've been coached by some rough coaches out there, maybe have a little bit of a warped perspective of what they need to be. And that could be dangerous sometimes. Yeah. Like when people are like, no, gold, silver is not good enough. You're a failure. That's horrible. We got to make sure that we're still accepted by ourselves, even if we don't make it. But even just like on the whole, like people won't like my music. I have to accept it. Like, why don't you like me? Like, you feel like you're so nice and I have a genuine heart, but people are just going to not like you for whatever reason. And that has to be okay. And how do you get to that point? You just have to just embrace your authentic self and know that you're still worth it. And those people are not that important to you. We talked about that too in other podcasts. Brene Brown talks about it. The people up in the audience who are yelling down, the heckling things, those are the people that don't matter. The people in the front row, the people in my Zoom room right now, these are the people that matter. And these are the people that I'm going to continue catering and giving my attention to, because that's going to help me forget about the other people who don't. Number 11 says, make fun a priority. It says, put something on your agenda every week. Don't neglect it or cancel it because you have too much work to do or your kiddo needs help with his history report. Just like rest, we all need fun in order to feel good. Don't skimp on this important need. Do you have enough fun when you're in your busy weeks? Do you make sure that you do that?
For me, okay, so my little confession is that when I get a lot of anxiety, which I have, and I go thrifting, and I thrift store, and I just did it the other day.
Okay, next one, practice gratitude. Gratitude is one of the simple ways to focus on the good in yourself and your life. Try identifying 3 things you're grateful for when you wake up every morning. Do you have a gratitude journal? Here's one that we recommended. It was called the Simple Abundance Journal of Gratitude.
I have a gratitude journal, and I'm going to grab something right here. because Passion Santos, I don't know if you guys know who Passion Santos is, but she gifted this to me for Christmas a couple years ago, and it is a gratitude jar. And so she printed out all of these things. And so for every day, these are all the things I'm grateful for. And
Oh my God.
every night, so it would be like, I am grateful for health. I am grateful. Oops. I am grateful for space. I am grateful for vibrations. I am so grateful for my mom. I am very grateful for Katie Ann.
You wrote all these yourself, though.
Oh, write all of these and you put them in a jar. Oh, look, I have one over here.
Oh my God.
Yes. 33220. I am grateful for Hawaii calls. Like all these little things. I'm grateful for vision boards. So all these things, and then I would take little things from vision boards. Oh, I think this was about being Hawaii, yeah, and like all these things about being pregnant, and all these things. But they're very helpful, and I just keep them.
Such a good little idea. That's a great idea. So either listing them, writing them down what you're grateful for. I mean, just like how we write our goals down for the year, writing down what you're thankful for could be a great way to really make it sink in. I love that. Okay. Number 13, write down your successes. So
good gift, guys. You can make them DIY.
Yeah, a jar to keep next to your bed. But this could go, you could also do a jar for this one. It just says, write down your successes. Maybe every time she says, I love this self-love activity because it creates a record of your accomplishments, big and small, that you can reread whenever you're feeling low. So, yep, you could put down anytime you do a little success. Like, I didn't eat those McDonald's French fries when I really wanted to. And then you can reread them and be like, damn, I'm the shit. Or like watching the jar just get more and more filled with all your successes. I think that's a great idea. All right. Number 14 says, feel your feelings. Our feelings are an integral part of who we are. You can't be an authentic person without acknowledging and feeling all of your feelings. See, we talk about going through our feelings. Like some of the people in this room have lost their parents during these times of COVID. Ariki, our guest last week, lost both of his parents. And, he talks about there's no way around the grief. You have to feel the grief, because if you don't, then it's going to catch up with you sooner or later. He's like, just might as well get it over with, like feeling the feelings. I mean, of course, everyone's on their own mourning schedule, talking about dealing with loss like that. But even just on simple, like sad because you are having a rough morning, like it's okay to feel the sadness of a rough morning, right? Like, don't try to just put it aside.
No, I think it's the same thing with anxiety. I think it's like what I said last week. It's like if you have anxiety, if you have panic attacks, if you have things that come up within you, it's the same thing with grief. And listen, I know what it's like to have grief. We all do. We've lost people that we care about. We care because I have gotten, if we're in true transparency, just getting off of medication and getting off of things that were helping me band-aid things like anxiety, and I have insomnia. I can't focus because I have ADD. And so it's like, so I have been slowly weaning myself off of these medications. And as of January 1st, I'm literally, I've been working out. And so last Thursday, was the first day of, we filmed Talk Story for that Olympic special. And it literally was like the first day of like, I'll be like, hey, see you in December, because every single day until December, I'm booked. And I almost had a panic attack and my hands started shaking. And so luckily we now have a therapist who's there at H&N, who's a wellness coach. And if we have like that, we can walk into his office. So I walk into his office at 9:58 and I say, I don't want to take medication. I'm about to have a panic attack. What do I do? And he said, he just basically said, I don't have to go to my next meeting. Talk me through what you're feeling. And I said, I'm having a lot of anxiety right now. I want to cry. I'm emotional. And he's like, well, what's your anxiety about? And I'm like, my schedule. And so he's like, let's sit with your schedule for a minute. And so I'm sitting in his office and I'm sitting next to my anxiety, which is in his thing. He's like, let's be friends with your schedule. Let's be friends with your anxiety. Let's be friends with what is coming up. He's like, where's it coming from? So I explained to him where it's coming up from my body. It's coming up from my opu to my heart, and it's making me flutter. And he was like, let's just sit with it. Let's talk to your anxiety for a second. And that has changed my life of like, why are we trying to either suppress feelings instead of just here, guys, like, this is my anxiety. Let's get to know it. When it comes up, this is it. When we want to talk about it, talk with it. That's just what it is. And literally, he talked me out of a panic attack. I didn't have to take a Xanax. I didn't have to take an Adderall. I didn't have to take an Ambien. Like, it just was, you sit with it and you become friends with it.
Oh my God. That's so awesome that they have somebody on site for you guys about damn time, right? Like I've heard NFL and NBA and MLB teams. It was with Meta World Peace. They hired an on-team psychiatrist, psychologist that travels with the team that they can have and help the players with. Because yeah, I think everybody nowadays is really realizing how important mental health is for their employees, and that's great. Oh my God, girl, so proud of you.
It's great. So we have a wellness coach, and then we have people who are readily available, as I hope you guys, like, if you need, people to talk to. But I mean, life changing. But it's 2022 was last Thursday, and it was like, this is my first panic attack in maybe 2 years.
Good for you.
Yeah. You got to find ways. And I encourage you all too, if you have anxiety or if you have insult, like, sit with it. Don't try to make it go away, or don't try to put it in a cupboard, but deal with it.
Right. Well, yeah, I think about now we're on a whole another tangent, because I'm super interested about at least acknowledging this, like about my medication, like, because I take medication. I had anxiety, and we've been experimenting with different things to try to help me. And now I'm still taking like bipolar medication. So, but I always am worried that it's numbing me, it's numbing me. And that's one of the things the psychiatrist that prescribed it to me said. He's like, if you are feeling numb with these medication, then it's not, we're taking you off it. That's not how it's supposed to feel. You should be still feeling your feelings. So maybe even the anxiety, if people are taking anti-anxiety medication, I don't think it's going to be a cure. It might just help you a little bit, but we still are going to have to deal with those feelings one way or another. Medication should help, but it shouldn't eliminate and numb ourselves, right? Like we need to have other tools.
Yeah, I want to clarify, in no way am I a doctor at all. I'm just saying
definitely not doctors.
Yeah, definitely not. No, but I mean, I'm just learning from,
what the doctors tell us. Yeah, no, that's all we can do is just share.
I just echo what you were saying. Like, I was noticing that I was taking medication to stay up and focus, and then I had to take medication to go to sleep and have my brain rest, when it's really like, trying to come up with, this therapist that I'm working with now talks about sleep hygiene, having a rhythm. We have sleep hygiene, literally. Okay, I'm in my bed. I'm not going to take my computer in my bed. I'm not going to take my phone. It's like, and I'm still guilty. I don't, there's a lot of things that I have to work with because I'm always working. But coming up with a pattern, something that's consistent. I love to watch TV before I go to bed. My therapist tells me you should rip the TV out of your bedroom.
True. Honestly, the shit that we watch on TV, even social media, is so irritating. Like, why do I do it?
Half the time I'm just on Netflix trying to find a show to watch. So it's like a waste of time anyway.
Okay. Number 15 says, take good care of your body. I don't think we need to go too deep into that, because we all know taking regular exercise, eating healthy, drinking water, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep most nights, limiting alcohol or other drugs. Like, we got to take care of our vessel. Number 16 says, pursue a hobby. Hobbies can be fun, relaxing, challenging, creative, athletic, social, or educational. As you can see, different hobbies meet different needs for us. Finding something that meets your needs. My dad just retired after being a teacher for 33 years, and he literally has been so bored, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. So now he's starting the hobby of wood burning, and I feel like that's so good for his self-care. He's kind of making a little business out of it. We got another one. 17 says, stand up for yourself. Wow. Like, boundaries, being assertive is a way of showing others that your opinions and needs matter. Loving yourself means you know your value and can communicate it to others. Woo. I have a hard time with this one sometimes with friends, but it is a lot like the boundaries thing, where we need to be able to verbalize it. Yeah. I like it though. Can you do that? Could you say that you're good at standing up for yourself? I feel like you are.
I could be better. I think we all could be better. I think we really all could be better at, and that comes from the validation from within, right? Of being able to say, hey, I can work on it. Let me add that to my 2022.
Lovingly add it. Number 18 says, write yourself a love letter. I know this is a hard assignment, but it really challenges you to identify the things that you like about yourself. Wow. That's cute. When I was in rehab away for that 1 month at that holistic rehab facility, we had to actually write ourselves our own obituary. We had to write, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to mourn the loss of Anuhea Jenkins. And I had to write out my whole entire obituary and what you've accomplished in your life, even like if you were to die. It tells you to make up like when you would die, how you would die. It was heavy. It was really heavy, but just like a love letter, it kind of did make you reflect back on your life and think about the things that you want to accomplish and the things that you love about yourself and that you want people to love about you when you're gone. Yeah, write yourself a love letter. That sounds cute. I'm trying to speed through them so we're not taking too much time. Ask number 19 is ask for help when you need it. Another part of taking care of yourself is recognizing when you need help. Help isn't weak, it's human. We all need help at times. Oh my God, that's what I love about this group. We all can ask each other for help when we need it. And that's what a therapist is for a lot of people too. McKenna, you have a great group of friends.
I am not good at asking for help. I will beat myself to so thin. And that's a big thing too, is just learning how to ask for help and knowing that it's okay to ask for help. Mm-hmm. I also get that from a learned behavior from my mother, who will just do everything that she can to stay up all night. But, I think it's okay for us to have a trusted group of people that we get that from.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I actually do have a hard time asking for help, but I noticed actually you put it out, and I'm going to do the same. A lookout for an assistant. You're looking to hire an assistant.
My gosh, great people have applied. You just need to know exactly what you want them to do. And because I don't have time to explain the job, I need you to just like jump in, and when you see opportunity to excel, that's how you find out you have a good assistant and a good person.
Oh my God. I loved how you did it too. You're like, I will not take DMs. I want you to send me your resume and cover letter. And also, yeah, like, so how do you think you're going to start teaching them how and like training them? Just copy them on every email that you go along with so that they can learn on their own, like what kind of life you have?
I think it's just shadowing at this point. You really have to shadow and see what is needed, because and I think this is very important for 2022. Like there's no job description anymore. We live in a total different time and space where like you're not just an accountant. You're not just it's not just is a word anymore. Especially if you're in media, you have to learn how. For me, I book. You have to book, produce, write, edit, string out. Like there's no one job anymore. You have to know 10 jobs. I don't know if it's like that for the rest of you all, but wouldn't you agree, Anu?
Oh, totally. And it's like meshing into one big life. Like every person who has their own job is doing all of this for themselves anyway. It's like everybody's an entrepreneur nowadays, and we can all celebrate and rejoice when we achieve stuff together. And that's sometimes more fun too. Speak kindly to yourself is number 20. Talk to yourself like you talk to a loved one. India Ari has beautiful songs about that. It's called Talk to Her, where she says, talk to your mama like you're talking to, like, talk to me like you're talking to your mama or like an auntie or like a little baby. Like, I want you to speak to me like that. But you got to talk to yourself that way.
The mirror exercise. I just started this when I was having a hard time last year, 2021. I started like writing all of these. It's almost like a vision board, but just little Post-its to myself that were really helpful. And in the morning, I would like read them. So when you get ready for work, you're reading them to yourself. And then when you're going to bed, you read them. So
what kind of stuff would it say? Speak kind, like nice things about.
So 1, it says you're a smart cookie. 2, what's your biggest goal for 2021? And I would say it every day, elevate, educate, entertain. Like you write all these things around your mirror in your bathroom, and you got to take a shower every day. And so you can have a vision board, but I just put these little Post-it notes around the mirror in my bathroom. And it was really helpful. I had a tough year last year, and it was an everyday reminder that I'm a smart cookie.
I love that. That's so good. Number 21 says, surround yourself with people who treat you with kindness and respect. Oh my gosh. Who, like your tribe, yeah? Who you spend time with reflects on how you feel about yourself. People who feel worthy surround themselves with positive people. Sometimes loving yourself means you have to end relationships with abusive or unkind people. Holy smokes. You're kind of as many friends as you and I have. I feel like we're both kind of like lone wolves in our hustle and our working.
I am the hugest extrovert / introvert. Like I love, like when I want to hang out with people, I am so down to go out, and I will be the life of the party and rage and have fun. And then I also sometimes want to lock myself in my bedroom and be by myself in my bed for a day or two. And it's okay, Because all that energy that you put out when you are in these circumstances, or when you're out, for Anohea and I, having to be on all the time, when she hits the stage, she has to be a presence, she has to sing, she has to entertain, and it's so draining.
And that goes, the one that you just described when you said you had to, be alone after being such an extrovert. You love being alone, because number 22 is allow yourself some downtime. Are you busy, busy, busy? It's time to slow down and allow your body and mind to rest. You don't have to do it all. Prioritize what matters most and let go of any guilt you might have about saying no. Rest is rejuvenating and a basic form of self-care. So these are the 22 amazing. I loved this. How to love yourself. 22 simple ideas. Did you like it?
I did, and I think we can all be better at it. No, I think that this was a great way. Thank you so much for having me. The journey to self-love, like I said in the very top of this, it is something that just will never end, and I will go to heaven trying to still love myself and love things that make us all imperfectly perfect, And I think the more, like what I shared with you, for me, like for us to validate from within, that has really been a really huge key for me in this, is that why am I looking at others, and we're all guilty of it. And I can tell you that I second guess myself sometimes when I write lines in my scripts, but if you are being who you're meant to be, who you need to be, you are going to align to the ATM in the sky of everything that you...
Oh my God, the ATM in the sky. I love it. This is what McKenna wrote to me. She's just like, deal with your own mess, control that shit. You have so much power in all of this. You control you, release the outcome. You do your best, be the best, Anu. She's literally texting me these things. She's like, stop worrying about everyone else. She's like, Anu, this is my big lesson that I learned the last 2 years. You have to worry about you. She said, even before McKenna, because he won't be well if you aren't well. She's like, be well. Your happiness supersedes all. I'm like, holy shit. Thank you so much. I'm like, can you be on my podcast? Like, holy crap. But no, that's the kind of stuff that you
tell myself those things, right?
Right. No, exactly. We need to hear that from people sometimes. And so whenever you guys need to remind yourself on how to love yourself, go back to these 22 things, maybe invest in a journal if you haven't already out there. Yay. Okay, McKenna, thanks you guys. I love you guys. Have a good night. All good.
Bye you guys. Aloha. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Follow McKenna Maduli on Instagram at McKenna Maduli, McKennaMaduli. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to be a part of the Patreon Zoom room, please go to anuheajams.com/Patreon and sign up for the Just Keep Jamming tier.